Okay.
Very good evening, one and all.
So can I start now, Sonali? Can I start?
Just a minute, sir. Myself is Dr. Ramesh Rawat. I am Dean Faculty of Arts, Parul University, Vadodara, Gujarat. And we welcome you, sir, on PU webinar platform on behalf of the Parul University, on behalf of the Parul University family. And thank you very much, sir, for giving your kind consent for today's webinar topic, the party system in India, different phases. So we welcome you, sir, on behalf of the Parul University. And now I over to you, Dr. Sonali, for the introduction. Yes, Dr. Sonali.
Yes, thank you, sir. We appreciate, sir, you are joining us. Good to have you with us. We will have a great discussion in next 1 hour on the topic of the party system intensively. But before that, let me introduce you, sir, concisely. Ashutosh Kumar is a presently chairman and professor in the Department of Political Science, Punjab University. He did his PhD in political science from Delhi University. In 2018, he was a UGC visiting professor at the Department of Political Science, North East Hill University, Shillong. He was also a director of UGC HRDS Punjab University during April 2018 to July 2019. He was also a director of the Center for IS and Other Competitive Examination, Punjab University, from November 2015 to March 2018. And during 2015 to 2017, he was a member of Research Promotion Committee, Punjab University, Chandigarh. He has published 5 books and he has published 15 research papers in international journals. He has also 41 articles in national journals. He has also 19 chapters in edited volumes. He also writes editorial for the Hindu and Hindustan Times and several other newspapers. He also attended 4-week summer course in human rights at the International Institute of Human Rights, France. So now I would like to start the briefly want to say about the Sweden VDEM report, which is say India is no longer a democracy. And in 2020, report of VDEM said that India was on the verge of losing its status as a democracy. And this year, 2021, confirmed this, classifying India as an electoral autocracy from 2019. So now, by taking these insights at hand, I would like to Professor Ashutosh Kumar to start the presentation on party system.
Okay. At the outset, let me thank you all for giving me this opportunity to speak to all of you. I hope that I'm okay. So, first of all, Mr. Ramesh Rao and also Dr. Nali Naran to give me this opportunity to speak to you. Sonali referred to the film House Report. You know, like for the winners, it is very to accept India as democracy. In fact, if you refer to David Held doesn't really count India as democracy. Or if you refer to like the writings of Robert Dahl talks about Indian democracy as an improbable democracy. So that is the Western perspective, and they have their own parameters. But I would say that India qualifies as a successful electoral democracy. In fact, referred to the criteria used by Robert Dahl talks about participation, level of participation and level of contestation. So if you use these 2 parameters, Indian democracy qualifies as a successful democracy because we have a very high level of participation. In fact, participation is not very high only in a quantitative sense. It is also very high in a qualitative sense, in the sense that the women participate in very large number, the poor people participate in a very large number, and all the electoral participation overall has been increasing. 2019 saw unprecedented participation, much more than 2004. Every election registered a record participation of the voters. So in terms of participation, there is no dearth of, there cannot be any accusation that Indian democracy is not a successful democracy. To refer to contestation, even in terms of contestation, Indian democracy is fairly, you have fair contestation. We have periodic elections, we have peaceful transfer of power, and parties which are in power always have a danger of losing power. You can see West Bengal, Trinamool Congress is fighting to retain power. And at the same time, just before 2019 election, three states, BJP lost election: Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh, and Chhattisgarh. And then it came back to power. It swept these three states in 2019 elections within few months. So this is something, even if you try to evaluate Indian democracy in electoral terms or in a procedural terms, Indian democracy comes out as a very successful democracy. In fact, India has had more than 350 assembly elections. If you refer to Rekha Diwakar work on party system, political parties in India, Oxford University Press, and then there have been, hundreds and thousands of elections for the local bodies. And these elections have become very meaningful after 73rd and 74th Constitutional Amendment, 1992. So, as such, you can see that it is a kind of a laboratory. And let me add another thing, that we talked about this participation testation. Even in terms of representation, Indian democracy is becoming more and more representative. If you see the representation of the backward classes in the parliament, it is increasing. The representation of the women, it is still not very high, but it is increasing. So it is not that the Indian democracy is backsliding, as the Westerners are saying, or Indian democracy is going down the drain. It's not like this. Of course, one can have a very broader viewpoint about democracy. One can think in terms of substantive democracy, and in that sense, probably democracy is not doing so well. But which democracy is doing well? In fact, if you refer to, the period when India became independent, many people, like you refer to Bejhot, you refer to Ivor, did not have the right environment or the suitable environment for democracy. In fact, Ivor Jennings thought that Ivor Jennings, you must be knowing that he helped in framing the constitution of Pakistan and framing the constitution of Ceylon. And those constitutions did not survive. That is another matter. But Ivor Jennings thought that in India there should be limited franchise and there should be indirect election. But if you see the nationalist movement, right from the beginning, 1916, Lucknow Pact, or you refer to 1928, Motilal Nehru Report, or you refer to this Karachi Resolution, 1931, or you refer to Sapru Commission Report, 1945, there was always a consensus that India would go for universal franchise. And the Constitution of India under Article 325 and 326 provides for universal franchise. So, as such, you can see that Indian democracy stands out in comparison to the Western democracies, in the sense that in India, the poor people tend to vote in larger number. In India, there is a anti-incumbency factor, so there is a frequent change of power, and which is good. Like we don't kind of a system. And there is an acceptance, legitimacy of the Election Commission of India. We have a constitutional body under Article 324. In America, you saw there was a great deal of problem about elections because Trump, the outgoing president, refused to accept the electoral verdict, and elections were being managed by the state officials. There was no independent commission. In India, we have an independent commission, Election Commission, to hold election for the Assembly and the Parliament. So that way, Sonali, I want to respect what you said. I say that this kind of point, that Indian democracy, there is no democracy, or there is a backsliding of Indian democracy, which is, I don't think it is correct. And one can always say that Indian democracy can be a better democracy, but that can be said about any democracy of the world. And just think of India, the challenges Indian democracy has overcome. You refer to interwar period. So many countries in Europe had become democracies, and democracies founded within 10, 15 years. You refer to Portugal, you refer to Spain, you refer to Italy, they all became democracy after First World War, and within 15 years they collapsed and they became a fascist or authoritarian regime. Same is the story of Argentina, same is the story of Brazil, same is the story of many African countries. So such that this would be wrong to say that Sonali is not really working well. Of course, it is working well, but it should be working better. And there have been challenges, institutional challenges, which challenges have to be overcome. And India, in the last 70 years, I mean, how old is Indian Constitution? Indian is 7 years. Another point I tell you, Sonali, that on average, the Constitution has lived for 19 years. If you see, I'm referring to Madhav Khosla, have an average lifespan of a constitution. Constitutions have survived only for 90 years all over the world. But in India, we are in the 71 year of the constitution, and there's no balance to the constitution. So India qualifies as electoral democracy, as a constitutional democracy. We have rule of law, we have a constitution, we have regime rights, and of course those rights are restricted, but rights can never be unlimited anywhere in India. Now let me quickly come to another point which is also very important and which is the focus of my today's lecture, that how do I see the party system in India. So at the I tell that I would to divide the party system in 4-party system, following Eugen Rio's seminal work in 1999 in EPW when he wrote the article about the third electoral system. Sorry, he referred to third electoral system. So I would say at the outset here that because of the very high level of participation and contestation in India, we have so many parties, and you know, there are not many elections, but also there are so many parties and there are so many party leaders. And India is a laboratory. India qualifies as a laboratory for party system, for the electoral system. How many parties we have? Just see the election commission data, which is very, which is unquestionable. In 2019 election, there were more than 2,538 unrecognized registered parties, and even among the recognized parties, national and state parties, they were quite a large number, and they have been always very large. In fact, national parties have not been very large in number. I think national parties, if you see the respective period, there were so many national parties in 1951-52 elections, 39 national parties. But over the period, the number of the national parties have gone down. It is now, I think, 767. So right now there are 7 national parties, national within quotes, because if you refer to CPI, CPM, or All India Trinamool Congress, they really do not look like a national party. Where is the Communist Party? Communist parties are there in West Bengal, in Tripura, and in Kerala. But in West Bengal, right now, the Communist parties are doing very badly. Even in Tripura, they were defeated soundly by BJP. So AITC, All India Trinamool Congress, is essentially a West Bengal specific party. So even though parties are called national parties, they are basically state level parties. They are basically regional parties. So in India, mostly you have more than, most of the parties are regional parties, but they are in large number. And they are recognized state parties are 43 right now. And earlier there were 39. So if you see the state parties' role in India over the period, if you have like the history of 70 years, 1950 to 2021, on an average, the parties have never polled less than 19% of votes at the national level. And in fact, in the last 96 to 1996 to 2019, the vote share of national party been as high as 40% of the total votes period. So they have been polling a large number of votes even now when BJP has a dominant electoral party. So this is the scenario that the state parties have played an important role, but the national parties are also there. And another thing I would like to say, I refer electoral democracy as a kind of a tree, like because we have all kind of parties. You refer to Sartori, you refer to Maurice Duverger, you refer to all those classifications by the political thinkers. You find all kind of classifications in India. You have mass party, you have cadre-based party like BJP, you have mass party, catch-all parties like Congress, and in fact, you have ideologically oriented party and you have electoralist party. So you refer to all kind of categories which you have heard: branch, this cell, cadre. All those things are there in India. So you have a kind of a whole gamut of political parties, very different kind of parties having very different kind of ideologies, very different kind of agendas over the period. Of course, of late, you find that on economic issues, there is a much convergence of agenda. That is another issue. But then over the period, if you have a longer view, if you have a longer view, if you have a bird's eye view over the period of 7 decades, you find that in India, different kind of parties and the having different ideologies, different kind of social base, different kind of agenda. So India presents you a very fascinating picture to part, and in all over the world, wherever the party system, whether it's a Robert Jall, whether it's any other political thinkers who work on parties, they invariably refer to India. So this is something which is something very fascinating about electoral democracy in India, that it received global attention. Now, for the sake of convenience during my presentation and for the sake of understanding of the informed audience here, I would like to divide the party system in India into different phases. As you know, the first phase would always, I would take all those comments, Sonali, afterwards. So just let me complete. My presentation would be for 45 minutes. So you remind me of 40 minutes or 45 minutes. So if you refer to, and that's why I'm speaking very fast. So if you refer to the party system in India, as I said, that I would be referring to the 4 different phases of transition over the last 7 decades. And I would see that how the regional parties gained electorally after the decline of the Congress system. I would also refer to the explanatory factor, which explain why the regional parties have had upswing. And then also I would refer to the causes of the decline of the Congress system, and also take up the cause of the rise of the BJP as the dominant party. And also I would take the question whether the BJP, it can be called the return of the second dominant party system, as Suhas Palshikar has been writing about, and also Pradeep Chibbar has been writing, and many other people have been writing, that now we are seeing the ushering of the second one-party dominant system. You remember Maurice Jones, right? So here I can see Manvi Khosla also sitting there in the audience. Now, if you refer to the Congress system, 1952 to 1967, or I would say 1951, 52 to 1967. Remember that the Congress was the dominant party in the nationalist movement also, but then the Congress party was never a homogeneous party. Within the Congress has been very well described as an umbrella party or a rainbow coalitional party. You had the conservative people within the Congress, you had the right-wing people, you had the Gandhians. In fact, the Congress party was a party of parties, because you had the Swaraj party in 1924, you had the 1934, you had the Congress Socialist Party. These parties were part of the Congress party. So Congress party was an umbrella party in the sense that it would have other parties also within its fold. It was a rainbow party in the sense that different ideological colors would be reflected within the Congress party. So that would be one reason why Congress could become such a strong party. The other reason for the dominance of the Congress would be its organizational strength. The Congress was a really, truly polity-wide party. At that time, Congress was truly polity-wide party. Congress had all India presence and a formidable presence. It was not a presence like today that Congress has a nominal presence. At that time, it was a dominant presence. So that would be the second point, formidable all India organizational strength of the Congress. Third point, I would say the electoral rule, electoral law. In India, we have the first past the post system. We didn't accept proportional representation. So we have the simple plurality vote system, which has helped the Congress party to win the election. Then you can also refer to other factors which have helped the Congress. And one of the very important factors with John Wood, Atul Kohli, Rajni Kothari, Myron Wiener, especially Myron Wiener, he has been very scathing in his analysis of the Congress system. And they argue that how the long length of power Congress had, Congress remaining in power both at the state level, also at the national level, gave the Congress access to, or the Congress party government access to the national resources. And under the this heading of this developmental state, developmental administration, pursuing the goal of economic democracy or the welfare regime, they had the access to the patronage and the resources. And the Congress party used those resources and the patronage to cultivate support among the social and the economic elites, which were drawn from traditional institutions of kinship and caste. So Congress party co-opted the dominant elite, the dominant caste within the rural society. Dominant caste, as you know, the caste which were numerically strong, caste which were land owning and ritually superior. And at that time, in fact, if you refer to 50s and 60s India, before the land reforms actually took place or the Green Revolution took place, mostly the caste which were dominant caste, they were the twice born caste in North India. They were not only ritually superior, they also had the land holding. So they were dominant in that sense, and the Congress benefited from it. And if you refer to the first party system, 51 to 67, you find that only 3 parties were there in position to give challenge to the Congress party. And these parties were all movement parties. And these parties were like the Akali Dal, formed in 1920. Then you had the Dravida Munnetra Kazhagam, formed in 1939. 1949, and you had the National Conference formed in 1939. So National Conference 1939, Akali Dal in 1920, and DMK in 1949. And these 3 parties were cadre-based party, ideologically oriented party, and they were the product of the movement party. And in fact, in 1967, it was the first regional party, DMK, which soundly defeated Congress party. And in fact, after 1967, no national party has been in a position to come to power in Tamil Nadu on its own. Congress has come to power, but in alliance with a dominant local party, dominant state party, either in alliance with DMK or in alliance with AIDMK, All India Dravida Munnetra Kazhagam, and situation remains the same. So that was the first party system. As I said, that the Congress benefited from the following factors: the first past the post system, where the Congress would get minority of the votes, but because of the divided opposition, Congress would win the seats. In fact, Congress won 2/3 seats. In fact, Congress lost power only in 3 states for a brief period. One of the state was Kerala, where the Communist Party came to power in 1957, and misuse of 356 happened, and the party was defeated. And the other states would be Pepsu, which ceased to exist in 1956. And then there was another state, I'm just forgetting the name. So there were 3 states, I think Madras. There were 3 states where the Congress lost power briefly. Otherwise, Congress was in power in all the states, and Congress was in power at the center. So that was the one factor. Second, I refer to patronage and clientelistic relationship Congress developed with the traditional elite at the grassroots level, at the village level. India was mainly rural India, And Congress also benefited from its organizational strength. Congress was a vibrant democratic party. Internal democracy was there. In fact, it has been argued by Maurice Jones that Congress was essentially a federalist party. It was not a centralist party. It was a federalist party. A point which has been raised by K.K. Kailash also in his recent EPW article. Then we refer to the second period, 1967 to 1989. And that is the period which has been dubbed as a Congress opposition system by Yogendra Yadav. Why it was called a Congress opposition system? Because mainly people were voting either for the party or they were voting for the Congress or they were voting against the Congress. So Congress was the pole, or the Congress was the fulcrum around which the party system revolved. So Congress was the central point of reference in the party system which existed in the period between 1967 to 1989. And Congress party gradually, as you can see, the Congress party start declining. And this decline thesis has been well articulated by many authors. But what are the points? How would you explain the decline of the Congress? One of the very important factor for the decline of the Congress would be that the Congress never had a wholehearted support of the middle peasant caste. As you know, the middle peasant caste like Jats, Ahir, Yadavs, Reddis, Tamaj, Gopalikas, Nayars, they were never very much enamored by Congress party. Just refer to the neighboring country. Okay, for you it's not a neighboring state. For us it's a neighboring state, Haryana. There was never a Congress system in Haryana because there was always this Jat-dominated politics. There was always a kind of a distance from the Congress. Of course, Congress had the government in Haryana, but there was never a kind of ideological domination. You know, when you refer to the Congress system, you also refer to the Congress having a kind of hegemony, the Congress representing the ideological consensus. So that was not with the case of the middle peasant. And middle peasant, when it became very powerful as a result of not having institutional mechanism. And if you read Myron Wiener and Stanley Pochanet, you read that argument that the Congress never gave leadership role to the middle caste. And one of the reasons why Charan Singh revolted and Charan Singh formed the Bharatiya Kranti Dal in 1967 and formed his own coalition government. And so 1967 saw the coming of SVD government, Sanyukt Vidhayak Dal government, where the national parties and the state parties, they would come together on a purely opportunistic alliances to form the government at the state level. Since they were ideologically incompatible and ideology did matter at that time, in 9 out of 14 states, Bihar, West Bengal, Uttar Pradesh, Punjab, Haryana, Madhya Pradesh, Orissa, Madras, and Kerala. In 9 states, the Congress lost power. 9 out of 14 states, and those were the big states. You know, those were not like those days. 14 states. Right now, you have 28 states. 28 states, I think. Yes, 28 states. So you can see that the decline of the Congress was also because of the loss of support among the newly empowered post-Green Revolution, post-land reforms, post-modern education, the formative action, the local language becoming the medium of instruction in the schools and the colleges. And so this middle caste asserted itself. And that was one of the reasons for the decline of the Congress. But of course, as you know, the Congress bounced back in 1972 assembly elections. In 1971, also Congress won the election on the Indira wave. Indira Gandhi gave the slogan, Garibi Hatao. There was a Bangladesh war. India secured victory. So there was a huge popularity of Indira Gandhi. But when Indira Gandhi becomes so powerful, she also changed the character of the Congress party.
The Congress party was no longer a federalist party. Congress party became a centralist party. And there was so much emphasis on the personal loyalty or the person-centered leadership of the Indira Gandhi. And high command politics became very important factor in the politics of the Congress. And that's why many state bosses, I have already referred to Charan Singh, Biju Patnaik also left the party. Subsequently, Devraj Arts also left the party. In fact, Indira Gandhi broke the party twice, 1969 and 1978. And many parties emerged out of the Congress, and they interestingly, they always named themselves as a Congress party. So you would have a Orissa Congress Party, Bang Congress Party, and you would also have many other Karnataka Kranti Party, so Utkal Congress, Kerala Congress, Bang Congress, Bharatiya Kranti Dal. So all these parties emerged out of the Congress. So congressmen leaving the Congress party and forming their own regional party. With limited success, but then it certainly weakened the Congress. So even if when the Congress wins the election in 1972, wins the election in 1980, wins the election in 1984, Congress is no longer the same dominant party. Congress no longer has a social coalitional support base. Congress no longer has an ideological coalitional support base. And now a very important segment of the society, the middle peasant, numerically strong middle peasant, and also the OBCs, other backward caste, lower middle caste, and the backward caste, those castes which were not scheduled caste, they now started deserting the Congress party. So Congress party would win the election, still win the election, because they were in the elections in a plebiscitary mode. You know, there was a national constituency phenomena, and people would vote for Indira Gandhi. People would not vote for, they would not vote for the party. They would vote for the leader. Indira Gandhi would campaign and she would say that vote for me. She would say, I have done this then. Something which you are seeing right now also. Many people are voting for Narendra Modi. They are not voting for BJP, as has come out in the CSDS Lokniti survey, that almost like 1/3 of the BJP voters, they say that we are voting for BJP because we like Narendra Modi and we are supporter of Narendra Modi leadership. And in 2014 National Election Study, it was as high as 1/4. 1/4 of the voter respondent. Obviously, it was just a survey. Survey may not give you the right picture, but it is indicative. And survey figures give the indication that a sizable number of BJP supporters voted for BJP because they were supporters of Narendra Modi. So Modi effect or the Modi phenomena, that has played a role. And at that time, there was the Indira Gandhi phenomena, that people were voting for Indira Gandhi. And then you have exceptional elections like 1984 election, assassination of Mrs. Gandhi. So that was not a normal election. Likewise, 1977 was not a normal election because emergency had taken place. Democracy was subverted for 2 years, 1975 to 77. People wanted to get rid of emergency. They wanted to get rid of authoritarian regime of Indira Gandhi. So they voted for Janata Party, which was a loose conglomeration of many national and the regional parties. Then you refer to the third phase, and that is 1989 to 2014. Of course, 1989 was the first election when you started this second phase of coalition government. Because the first coalition government, as I told you, was at the state level for a very brief period between 1967 to 1971. 1969, I would say, because under the weight of incompatibility, the personal ambitions of the different parties which had come together in 67, these SVD governments, Sanyukt Vidhayak Dal government, did not SVD. S for what? S for Sena, V for Vallabh, D for Delhi. So SVD governments, they did not survive much. So Congress was in power, but 89 onwards, you have the arrival of the second coalition system. And this coalition system lasts till 2014. So the third phase of the party system I would refer to would be the party system between 1989 to 2014, when there was ascendance of regional parties, when the regional parties became so powerful, they went from strength to strength. And how does it happen? It happens because the Congress party loses the election, and Congress party remains the largest party, but it is no longer in a position to form the government. And in fact, the now a very important difference was that when you refer to second party system 1967 to 1989, it was a Congress opposition system, in the sense that people were voting either for the Congress or they were voting against the Congress. And also there was a national constituency phenomena, that people would be voting on a national basis. They would be voting even in the assembly election, having an eye over the center, that who is ruling at the center. But now in the third party system, states emerge as a electoral unit. State emerges as an autonomous electoral unit, and now the state specific issues become very important. They become so important that in 2004, Rob Jenkins refers to the states as mini democracies. Before that, Arvind N. Das refers to Republic of Bihar. So the states are now being seen as republics. They are being seen as a mini democracies. They are seen as having their own specific distinctive political features, and the electoral issues, the nature of the party system, the kind of voting behavior, they all would vary from one state to another state. And this was a system which suited this kind of fragmented party system, suited the state parties, because now there was a great incentive for the ambitious leaders from the national party to break away and form their own party. So how would you explain the rise of the state party? One very obvious reason would be the decline of the Congress party and decline of the national parties. Like at that time, BJP was formed in 1980. Earlier, it was a Bharatiya Jansangh. Bharatiya Jansangh never had more than 10% of the votes. In fact, its best performance was in 1967 election, when it won 35 seats in the Lok Sabha. Earlier, it was never a force. In 1980, also, when the BJP was formed, BJP was advocating Swadeshi movement. BJP was very much a mainstream party. BJP was not the party as it is now. And BJP got only 2 seats in 1984 election. So BJP was not a force. So what I'm saying is that at that time, Congress was in a state of decline, endemic decline, which has continued till the date. But other parties, other national parties were also declining. So there were only state parties to fill in that gap, fill in those vacant spaces. And so the state parties got the opportunity to form the government. And many parties, they lost they were split. In fact, except BJP, BJP also had a split, like Himachal Lok Hit Party and Jan Vikas Morcha. I think Himachal Lok Hit Party was in Himachal Pradesh, and Jan Vikas Morcha was in Rajasthan, I think, Shakti, and also Bharatiya Jan Shakti Party, which was formed by Kalyan Singh. So many, but then BJP, since it is an ideologically rooted party and cadre-based party, and its support comes from RSS, Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangh, so BJP has not had a great degree of a split. But Congress has been a split many times. I have already referred to 1969 and 1978, and I have referred to Band Congress, Orissa Congress, and so many other Congress. You have the Kerala Congress still there. So that is there. And then Janata Dal also got divided, and there are so many state parties which are offshoot of Janata Dal or Janata Party, Janata Dal Parivar. You have INLD, you have a Tamil Manila Congress, you have among the Congress, I would say Tamil Manila Congress, Nationalist Congress Party, All India Trinamool Congress is also offshoot of the Congress. Mamata Banerjee was, for many years, she was a Congress leader. She was promoted by Rajiv Gandhi in the cadre when she was a party worker. Likewise, Janata Dal has been divided, and now you have Biju Janata Dal, you have Rashtriya Janata Dal, you have Janata Dal United, you have the Lok Jan Shakti Party of Ramvilas Paswan, you have Janata Dal Secular in Karnataka. So many state parties, they are basically offshoot of national parties. Now, when I refer to why these so many parties have emerged, one of the reason is that most of these state parties are community-based parties. They are caste-based parties. They have come out because of the dominance, because of the assertion of the dominant caste, who were never comfortable with the national party, because national party, whether you refer to Congress party or BJP, as Kanchan Chandra has pointed out in her book Dynastic Party, that most of the National Party top leadership come from the upper caste. In fact, most recently, Jaffrelot has come out with a part of that volume, which is being edited by Sumit Ganguly and others, Binsha Mistry. There, in that article, which is still to be published from foreign university, there he has come out with all those figures, and he says that how the upper caste people, and you have the publication by Kanchan Chandra, Dynastic Parties, and they say that how the upper caste people dominate the higher positions in the national parties, and that is why the so-called lower caste parties, lower caste communities, or the middle caste communities, they want to have their own parties, their own within court, and that's why most of these parties are social justice parties. But then, if you have the community-based party, then obviously the leader also comes from that dominant caste. And then you have the families. So those community-based parties or the social justice parties are now becoming family parties. And within the family, if there is a succession war, as you saw in the case of Shiv Sena, where the Thackeray family got divided, Raj Thackeray and Uddhav Thackeray. Most recently in Haryana, you saw the INLD got into divided, where Chautala and Ajay Chautala family got divided, and JJP was formed in Haryana. So that is another, the turf war within the family, within the political family. And also when the ambitious leaders, credible leaders, those leaders who have the leadership quality, who have the control over the masses, support among the masses, if they feel that they are being denied the top leadership post, or they are not being given the chief ministerial post, and that is reserved for the, you can see in case of the Congress also. Right now, you can see that many frustrated leaders like Sindhya and all, they left the Congress because they thought that Congress is being dominated by a family, and that family would never allow them to come up to the top positions, because then they would be seen as rival to Rahul Gandhi. So this kind of thing, when you have this dynastic politics, which has afflicted most of the parties. Even in BJP, you have many family members. Rajnath Singh's son is probably MLA, but that kind of phenomena is not so much in BJP. Kailash Varghese, who is a general secretary of BJP, his son is also in BJP, holding some post. So this Jaswant Singh's son was in BJP MLA. But in BJP is still much better than Congress party, and much better than the regional parties. In fact, the only exception would be the left parties, where you don't have a family system, or the family party, or the dynastic system, or giving tickets to the son and the daughters and this thing. Anyway, but the left parties are not doing very well. As you all know, left parties are in an endemic decline, and much more in crisis than any other party. So regional parties would emerge in a big way, and regional parties would emerge, as I told you, because of the identity politics, that the caste and region becoming very important factor in determining the electoral choices, in determining the formation of the party. Caste, region, language, dialect. And as India became more and more democratic, as the universal franchise right to vote, which I mentioned at the outset, the right to vote is a revolutionary thing. Everybody getting the right to vote and gradually becoming aware about the value of the vote. and becoming aware about their numbers. So every community would become politically ambitious and they would want a greater share in the political power. And if the party in power is not giving them that share, then obviously they would like their own party to come up. And so there are so many parties, and in fact, if you see, most of the state parties have a core constituency. Like Akali Dal has a core constituency among the Jat Sikh people. The INLD always had a core constituency among the Hindu Jats of Haryana. Or you refer to this Telugu Desam party would always have a great support among the Kammaj, because N.T. Ramarao was a Kamma community person, right? And then Congress would always have a Reddy, this YSR Congress in power in Telangana would have the support among the Reddys. So every party, every leader would have either the support of his own caste members and plus other. Very good example would be RJD. RJD had a solid support of the Yadavs. You saw in the 2020 assembly elections in Bihar that Yadavs voted once again for Rashtriya Janata Dal, even when Lalu Yadav was in jail. So that is something which is a very important factor, identity politics, caste, region, language, and all. And then regional identity. For example, Biju Janata Dal is not a caste-based party, but Biju Janata Dal is very much a regionalist party. Dravida parties are not caste-based party. DMK, AIDMK, they are not caste-based party, but they have a very strong regional affiliation. They project themselves as a custodian of their state interest, custodian of their regional interest, and they get the vote. Right now, Mamata Banerjee is trying to do the same. She is also projecting Trinamool Congress as the custodian of the Bengali identity, Bengali culture, Bengali deities, Kali Puja, or the Bengali language, and why outsiders have come to Bengal. So very regionalist character. And in fact, Professor K.K. Kailash, in a very important paper in EPW, has pointed out that how the regionalist parties are still doing well, despite the ascendance of BJP. The regionalist parties like BJD, Biju Janata Dal, like the All India Trinamool Congress, or the Dravida party like AIDMK and DMK, they are still doing very well. Or this TMC, what is his name? Telangana Rashtriya Samiti, TRS. TRS is doing very well. Even TDP is not out of, radar. It is still very much there. Chandrababu Naidu is lying low, but the TDP is the number 2 party in Andhra Pradesh, even now. So, that is another thing. Now, very quickly, how much time I have? Sonali, how much time I have?
Sir, 10 minutes.
10 minutes, okay. So very quickly, I come to the last phase, 4th phase, and I come to the what has happened after 2014. So 2014 election was a watershed election. Like we say, 1967 election was a watershed election. 2014 was a watershed election because after 31 years, now you had for the first time a party coming to power on its own. So now you had a single party majority government and you had a very powerful leader in the form of Narendra Modi. Because as I referred, that Narendra Modi factor was a big factor in bringing BJP to power. But if you see 2014 election, many of us, including me, we thought that it was very much a natural process because Congress led UPA, United Progressive Alliance, UPA 2, was very much a condemned party. You had the India Against Corruption movement, you had the Anna Hazare element 2G scam, and you had the Colgate scam, you had the CAG report, Vinod Roy CAG report condemning the government, you had the Supreme Court cases, you had the A. Raja case. So it was tainted government, and Manmohan Singh was seen as a very weak prime minister. With due respect to Dr. Manmohan Singh, he was seen as a leader not in command. So it was thought that anti-incumbency would be there because UPA was in power for 10 years. So BJP coming to power was not a big deal. It was also thought that the BJP got 282 seats. Out of 282 seats, BJP got 244 seats only from the Hindi heartland and from the western states of Gujarat and Maharashtra, which were always the stronghold of the Hindutva party. So it was like that. Basically, BJP won because of the overwhelming support of Hindi-speaking states, and it was thought that this kind of saturation of the support would not last long. How long the BJP would be winning as many seats as it won in, like in UP, they got 73 seats out of 80. Out of 80, they won 71 seats, and 2 seats came to Apna Dal, which is the alliance party of the BJP. So 73 out of 80. So they thought कि इससे ज़्यादा तो अब नहीं हो पाएगा, इससे तो नीचे ही जाएगी, है ना? So there was expectation that this was a one-time victory, and this was also because Shiv Sena, TDP, AIDMK, all those regional parties which were in alliance with BJP at that time, they did also well. So two factors. One, that BJP victory was because of the great contribution of its regional parties in alliance with the party. So NDA victory, it was not a BJP victory, it was an NDA victory. Second, it was thought that it was a victory because of the support, wholehearted support of the Hindi heartland states, UP, Bihar, and Rajasthan, and Madhya Pradesh, and Chhattisgarh, and Rajasthan, the Hindi-speaking states. And it was also thought that because Narendra Modi popularity, Gujarat model, Shining India, the Achhe Din Aayenge, so that helped. So, but then how long this personal popularity would continue? Because we have seen Rajiv Gandhi becoming very popular, and within 2-3 years, he became so unpopular after Bofor's episode. So they thought that maybe the personal popularity of Narendra Modi would not last long. And so BJP, but then 2019 election confirmed that it was not a one-off election. It was not an aberration. It was confirmed that BJP has succeeded in shifting the middle ground towards right-wing politics. So India was not the same India. There was a distinctive shift in the ideology of the Indian people. India was becoming more and more conservative. India was going towards cultural nationalism. See the BJP victory. Just consider it. BJP got 37% of the overall vote, but in the seats where the BJP won 46% of the vote. And BJP contested only on 436 seats. And out of those 436 seats, BJP won on 70% of the seats. So victory percentage or the winning percentage of the BJP was as high as 70%. And in the seats where BJP won polling more than 50% of the votes polled. So BJP victory was not a narrow victory. It was not a victory which was like a one-off victory. It was not an aberration. It was a sound victory. So this really raised this question mark that BJP winning so many seats, and in fact BJP partners also won many seats. In fact, NDA won 353 seats. Shiv Sena benefited from the alliance with the BJP. So अब उल्टी गंगा बह रही थी. पहले बीजेपी को फायदा होता था थर्ड फेज में, जब बीजेपी रीजनल पार्टीज के पास जाती थी और कहती थी हमें सपोर्ट करो. दैट इज द वे बीजेपी एक्सपैंडेड. बीजेपी वेंट टू कर्नाटका एज ए जूनियर पार्टनर in alliance with the Janata Dal Secular. BJP went to West Bengal in alliance with Trinamool Congress. BJP went to Orissa having an alliance with Biju Janata Dal. In Punjab, they were in alliance with Akali Dal as a junior partner. So BJP gradually expanded itself by making an alliance with the regional parties. But now it was reversed. Now the regional partners of BJP, they were gaining from alliance from BJP. And that's why that explains why NDA won as many as more than 330 seats. Now let me take about this question, because my time is coming to an end. let me get to this question, that can we call BJP as the second dominant party? I have some problem about it, because BJP certainly does not represent ideological coalitional support base. There is a great degree of resentment, or I won't say great degree of resentment, I would say there's a significant degree of resentment against the Hindu nationalist ideology of BJP among many people. Right. And even now, BJP faces very strong regional party. That was not the scenario with the Congress. When the Congress was the dominant party, Congress had a kind of hegemonic role. Congress represented the ideological consensus. It represented the founding principles of Indian democracy. Now the BJP has a large supporter. BJP is a very strong party, organizationally very strong, almost comparable to Congress party. BJP is also becoming a polity-wide party. You can't say that BJP is confined to Hindu heartland, as a Hindi-speaking state. BJP is only confined to Hindi-speaking states or Western states. BJP is everywhere. Even in the Northeast, BJP is there. Even in South, except Tamil Nadu, Kerala, Andhra Pradesh, and Telangana, BJP is there. BJP is there in Karnataka. Of course, BJP is not there in Tamil Nadu and Kerala and in Karnataka, in Andhra Pradesh and in Telangana. So that also puts a question mark. But then BJP is expanding. In West Bengal, you can see that BJP is now very much there. In Orissa, they are number 2 party. They have displaced Congress. So basically, BJP cannot be considered as a second dominant party, because BJP is electorally dominant, but BJP is not ideologically dominant. BJP still has contestation about its ideology. Right, that is one factor which we should remember. Another factor is that unlike the Congress, BJP faces strong regional party. When Congress was in dominance, Congress was not facing strong regional parties. The parties were there. Most of the parties called themselves national party when the Congress was dominant party, but they were confined to a particular region and they were in no position to take on Congress party. But now the BJP is giving a run for its money in West Bengal. BJP still has to depend on AIDMK to win some seats in Tamil Nadu. In Kerala, they have got Sridharan as the party face, but still they are not supposed to win many seats in Kerala. That is what people are saying. We would see on 2nd May. But BJP is not a force in Kerala. BJP is not a force in Karnataka, in Tamil Nadu or in Telangana and Andhra. So there are important differences if you compare BJP with the Congress thing. So obviously, I would say that BJP is going from strength to strength. BJP is organizationally very strong party. BJP has a great access to resources, electoral bonds, the electoral funding, the role of the finance, the election machinery, the social media, the support, very sympathetic electronic media. You can see that BJP is becoming a kind of a pole, increasingly becoming the kind of a taking a vantage position in the party system of India. And maybe in coming years, BJP can emerge as the ideologically dominant party also. It is still, it is very much an electoral dominant party, and gradually it is winning more and more states. In Tripura, BJP was nowhere. In West Bengal, BJP had only 2 seats in the last election. Now BJP is aiming at power. In Tripura, BJP was nowhere there, and BJP won the assembly elections. In Northeast, BJP was hardly there, and now BJP is in power in Meghalaya. So you can see that the BJP is gradually capturing. In Assam also, BJP was not in power. This Saikia was in power for 10 years, So, but now BJP is in a very good position even in this assembly elections. As my friends in Guwahati University tell me, Congress is also doing well, but then BJP is supposed to win the elections. So that is the situation right now. We can see that the last part, with just 2 minutes more, I would say that how the BJP can be contested. One of the reasons why BJP has become so powerful, BJP has become so dominant. Of course, leadership factor is there, that now the leadership as an agency, or the Narendra Modi popularity, that helps the Congress, BJP in winning not only the national elections but also at the assembly election. But then that also weakened the party, because the state level leadership of BJP is now not getting the proper recognition. Now you can see that this Raman Singh and Shivraj Chauhan, Vasundhara Raje, Scindia in Rajasthan, getting marginalized. So it is basically the Amit Shah and Narendra Modi leadership that dominates the BJP. So at one time, BJP had advantage over the Congress in the sense that BJP had very powerful state level leaders like Bharat Singh Shekhawat and others. But now gradually you can see that they are being cut to size. So that is one challenge before the BJP. Another challenge before BJP is that BJP has to show its governance, and BJP has gained from the service delivery, better service delivery in comparison to RJD and this Samajwadi Party and the BSP. All these social justice parties, they never did much about their core constituency. In fact, they basically referred to one caste. RJD would come to power, would give jobs to Yadav, would give contract to the Yadav, would not think of the caste, and would never deliver public services. So BJP has done what? BJP has combined its appeal on cultural nationalism as well as its governance. Its success, its limited success, I won't say unqualified success, but its limited success in extending the public services and the public goods to the people, like the Jan Dhan Yojana, Jan Ayush Yojana, or this giving the cylinders, or constructing the pakka houses, or latrine. So all those things have, or smoothing, having a smooth distribution, public distribution system. You saw like the direct transfer scheme, using Aadhaar effectively. So all these things have helped. So you can see that those regional parties which have also done well on the developmental front, on the welfare front, they have also done well. Biju Janata Dal has done well, because Biju Janata Dal is also seen as a party which has, when in power, it has done a lot for the poor people. Or this Telangana Rashtriya Samiti has done well, because they are also very successful in extending the welfare schemes. For example, Dravida Congress also has, Dravida parties also have succeeded, because whichever the party comes to power, whether it's a Jayalalitha or Karunanidhi, or right now whether it's a Stalin or EPS or OPS, they would succeed. People have the confidence that they would continue to have access to the public service system, public service delivery system. They would have access to hospitals, good schools, good roads, the basic things, the roads, schools, hospitals, those which were marker of modern India, marker of the developmental program. They were the aim of the community development program. Now, those parties which have done well on those fronts, they have got the electoral dividend. So regional parties can still survive if they perform, they deliver on the public service delivery system. I end here. I'm thankful to this Parul University administration, Dr. Sonali Naran, Professor Ramesh Rawat, to give me this opportunity to speak to all of you. I hope that I made some sense. I'm thankful to all of you. Thank you.
Yes, sir. There is a question by a person working in an election commission, whether holding election in West Bengal in 8 places is justiciable.
I think it was justiciable in the sense, in my limited understanding, I don't have a ground report of West Bengal, but whatever I read in the newspaper, and I have my network, I'm part of the Lokniti, I think that the situation was volatile, and the election commission had to do something to control the law and order. Because if you have 5 phases, 6 phases, in UP also have the different phases that cut down the violence. And Bengal elections have been very violent elections, and somehow violence has gone down in other parts of India. But in West Bengal, there is always a possibility of violence, which you are seeing right now also. So you need deployment of the forces, you need a proper arrangement. But now, because of the pandemic, this is a different scenario. But when the phases were announced, the pandemic was coming down. In January we thought that we are through the first phase. So I think you can give benefit of doubt to the Election Commission of India.
And he said sometimes we do not get paramilitary forces. That is the biggest challenge because
Yes,
state
you
police is under the control of
Sonali,
government.
I was listening to this Jedam Qurashi, who was the chief election commissioner earlier. He said that आप लोग क्या सोचते हो? Hindi you all understand, na?
Yes, sir.
He was telling us in a seminar in Chandigarh. He said, मैंने यहाँ सेमिनार किया था ना ADR का, Association for Democratic Reforms. You must be knowing it. Those who work on the data, like how many criminals are there, how many moneyed people are there, and all. So Quraishi said to us कि आप क्या सोचते हो इलेक्शन जब भी मुझे इलेक्शन करवाना होता था तो सबसे पहले मैं कहाँ जाता था मैं होम सेक्रेटरी के पास जाता था कि मुझे कितनी पैरामिलिट्री फोर्सेस दोगे मुझे चाहिए यहाँ चाहिए वहाँ चाहिए डिप्लॉयमेंट चाहिए मुझे सीआरपीएफ चाहिए इतने चाहिए ये सेंसिटिव कॉन्स्टिट्यूएंसी है यहाँ एक बाहुबली इलेक्शन लड़ रहा है यहाँ पे वायलेंस हो सकता है So, Election Commission doesn't have its own army. It doesn't have its own police forces. They are crucially dependent on the government. And so, somehow, as you said very rightly, that they need proper deployment of the security forces to have a peaceful election.
So, sir, I thank you very much. Your talk has enlightened us, and we want to take out moment to send out a huge thank you to everyone who are behind the success of this webinar. Questions, dedication, and curiosity made this conversation valuable and inspiring. Thank you very much. I pass on to Ramesh Rawat, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Sonali. And thank you very much, sir, Professor Ashutosh, sir, and your wonderful talk and master talk on today's webinar topic. And you elaborate the entire thing which is related from party system in India, and you explain about the Congress party and BJP party. With your due permission, I want to ask the one question from my side. The question is, sir, what kind of the reforms is required in party system in India? What do you think about that?
I would say that one thing I would say that the parties have been making so many tall promises, so there should be some mechanism to make them accountable to their promises, bold promises. In Punjab they would say we would give 5 marla land to every landless person. We would give you this. We would give you this. So the election has become like I always tell my students, Sonali would remember that I always quote Subhash Chandra Bose, who used to say that "तुम मुझे खून दो, मैं तुम्हें आजादी दूंगा." Right now, I refer like Shiromani Akali Dal. I said that it has become a Atta Dal party. I would give you this, and मैं तुम्हें आटा दूंगा, मैं तुम्हें दाल दूंगा, मैं तुम्हें ये दूंगा, मैं तुम्हें लैपटॉप दूंगा. In Tamil Nadu, you can see ना कि मैं तुम्हें साइकिल दूंगा, मैं तुझे कलर टीवी दूंगा, मैं इतने पैसे दूंगा. So something. These parties have to be made accountable कि भाई आपने वादा न तोड़ो है ना there is a movement also so there should be this is the first thing I would like to reform have a reform in the working of the electoral system as far as the parties are concerned there should be frequent internal elections most of the parties are non-democratic parties they claim to safeguard democracy they claim that they are the greatest champion of democracy but within their party, they don't allow leadership to come up. They reserve leadership role for their family, which is wrong. You can see many parties like Lalu Yadav is not there, then Tejasvi Yadav would take place. If Tejasvi Yadav is not there, some other family member would take out. This is not there. Most of the parties, TRS, DMK, every party, even the cadre-based party like National Conference, this DMK, they have become family the election should be free and fair within the party also. Something which Rahul Gandhi had proposed in the Congress, but he could not do much. And he still is there. He wants to resign, but people are not ready to leave him. So this is a very peculiar situation in the party system. So these two factors: one, that the party should be held responsible for the promises they make. Second, that they should reform themselves and they should become democratic organizations, like Congress was in 50s and 60s.
Thank you very much, sir. On behalf of the Parul University, on behalf of the Parul University management, on behalf of the Parul University family, on behalf of the Parul University president, sir, vice chancellors and registrars, sir, we thank you very much, sir. And we invite you through this webinar platform physically in our university to interact with our student and faculty member and enlighten to our students on another topic which is related from the political science, sir. Again, thank you. Thank you very much, sir. And I also thank our PU webinar team. They complete this entire webinar without any kind of the technical glitches. And also thank to our entire faculty team members. They promote the entire webinar on entire national and international platforms. So thank you very much, sir. And thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Sonali Naran, one of our most favorite students.
Yes.
So I have this. I will surely come to Sarawak when the situation would become normal. You know, I mean, I've been feeling for last 1 year I'm confined to Chandigarh. Only twice I've gone to Delhi. That's all. So I'm a person who moves around. You know, Sonali knows it. So I love to move around within India and interact with the people. I've been to Baroda also. I've been to Ahmedabad, Gandhinagar. This you have this Shakti Raksha Shakti University. I've been there twice in Gandhinagar, Ahmedabad, and I have been to InfoNet, Gandhinagar. I have been to Baroda also, Baroda University. C.N. Patel was there. So thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much, sir. Again, thank you very much.
Thank you.